And we're live. Good morning, everyone.
Hello,
Hello, hello.
Great
It's a
to
great
see you.
day. It's always a great day, especially when the sun's out and it's a little bit warmer.
A little bit warmer.
Speak for yourself. It's frigid here in Tennessee. I'm trying to figure out how to get some sort of way to put a heat tape on my chickens' hose, so I'm not out there with a hammer busting the ice out of their water. So yeah.
Oh,
And then here in Tennessee, where our schools earlier this year, the schools closed because one day it was 16 degrees one morning, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? But we are staring down the barrel of quite a storm, apparently. And so everybody is like chicken littling right now. And
yeah.
I'm sure that the grocery store will be out of milk and bread and everything soon as this storm is coming this weekend. We'll see. But the yesterday they were predicting this much snow, and today they're predicting this much snow. And so we'll see what tomorrow brings. And it's not really supposed to happen until this weekend. Is that what's happening for you, brother, in Nashville?
Well, I've heard 12 inches and I've heard 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see when it actually hits. So we'll be fine.
Maybe I should be a weatherman. I could make all sorts of guesses. It'd be great.
Yeah. Just try all the models.
Yeah.
Euro model says this one. Well, yeah, I was thinking it's quite interesting that we are starting 2026 and we've got a lot of things happening all over the world, and we've got an exciting guest speaker today. I see we've got a lot of new faces here on the webinar the last few weeks, so some questions. We'll get to your questions as we're able to, but first we wanted to share you guys a little bit about our guests. So let me share my screen here one second. Oh, that screen. There we go. So we met Dr. Shivani at a conference last year and had her on here in May, and everybody really enjoyed the conference. And she mentioned that she was working on a book and she would like to come back when that was ready. And now her book's ready. So we're really excited to hear more about it, but we'll tell you a little bit about that soon. I'm sure that she and Linda will talk about that.
That's right. But in the meantime, I'd love to offer a disclaimer for you, because the WAVwatch is a low-risk wearable wellness device intended to support general health and self-care. It meets the FDA's criterion for a general wellness product and is designed for non-medical use only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and has not been evaluated by the FDA. Its acoustic frequencies are experimental and non-therapeutic.
Well done. That was great. It gets better every time.
Trying to be, you got to be smooth.
I'll read her bio, but Dr. Shivani Gupta is an Ayurvedic practitioner and wellness educator who bridges Eastern wisdom with modern medicine. With a master's degree in Ayurvedic sciences and a PhD focused on turmeric, she's spent over 20 years helping people reduce inflammation and reclaim vibrant health. As the founder of Fusionary Formulas, Dr. Shivani empowers others with simple, effective tools to ease pain, boost energy, and support longevity naturally. All right, without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Shivani.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining.
Yes.
We're really excited. I think you and Linda have some questions and things to discuss, so the boys will drop off and answer some comments, and we'll be back at the end, but look forward to hearing what you have to share.
For sure.
They're always so polite, aren't they? They just back themselves out so we can take the.
Of course. No, it's always so nice to see you guys at the different conferences and things we get to interact with. I've always loved spending time with you guys.
Well, it has been exciting. When you get to know somebody a little bit, it's even that more exciting to catch up with them again and find out about everything that you've been doing since we talked to you last. So I think the most important thing to me is that you finished your book. I'm in the middle of a book and it's not done yet. So I'm just in awe.
It is not an easy journey to cross a finish line with a book. And my sister recently looked at my book. She's like, that's long. And I'm like, just read the first half. Like if you read the first half, you've got the gist of what I'm trying to say. But yeah, writing a book and finishing a book is such an undertaking for sure.
Wow. Well, congratulations on getting that done. So are you going to be sharing some ideas with us today from the book, or everything you do is about inflammation anyway, isn't it?
It is. My dream is to show us that we can win at our health, and we all define winning as different. I know we're all so individual, but when I talk about health, I'm really trying to prevent the level of suffering that I saw growing up. I would go to India every year to see my grandparents, see my cousins, and all I saw was devastation. Someone was in the hospital, someone just passed away. It would be heart attack, stroke, Parkinson's, leg amputation, or really struggling with diabetes. And that's across the board in my case, all grandparents, all parents in that generation. And now you can see it forming in my generation. I'm in my mid 40s. And so all my cousins, I'm like, everyone's teetering on that line of prediabetes. And so all my research has been around how do you prevent these chronic metabolic diseases from causing this level of suffering. And so that's where the book came from, was just, can we learn a new way of approaching our health from ancient India that really shows us a different lifestyle so we win at inflammation.
That is quite a journey. And to know that as we age, there's that word, but you have to face it. And as you look at generations above you, I remember when I was in my 20s and my grandparents passed away, and all of the suffering that they had. So yes, I try to pay more attention so that I can avoid it. And I'm so anxious to learn what you have, because it's just what you said. Your journey has been to help other people and to try to relieve what you saw in other generations. And we all need that. And we all need to be working together. And you have a great way to do that. So what's the most important thing that we should kick this off with? What do you want to share the most with people?
I want to share that inflammation, the lifestyle we build on a daily basis, those daily habits that we put in place for ourselves are the key to winning at our health. And oftentimes we think, gosh, this body of mine is just broken. Like I already have certain diseases. This is the genetics I have. This is the path I'm on. I guess it is what it is. I guess this is just aging. And so what I want to share is all the different ways we can look at the Ayurveda lifestyle and its pillars of health from ancient India and learn different approaches that we can apply in tiny slices of time. I know we're all busy. I know we all have a lot going on. I'm a mom. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got a big family, lots of things happening at all times. But I like to teach health in tiny slices and micro rituals that create big shifts. Because once we make those shifts and once we get in that habit of those rituals, all of a sudden life can be profoundly different, because it's a daily impact leading to this exponential shift. And so that's why I love talking so much about sleep, circadian rhythm, inflammation, our gut health. What are we eating and when are we eating it and how are we eating it? That's a big pillar I teach from. Or what are these super spices that can function like profound superfoods in our system? And then what is our individual elemental design? What is the element we're primarily made of that drives all of the health struggles we have? So for me, Ayurveda is a whole system, and it's a guidebook, and the book is meant to be a blueprint. And then I love talking about how we can bring those slices into our life to create big shifts.
So what's your best slice? Is that what
It's hard to have a favorite. In the book, I will say the primary topic that I talked about in the book that I want everyone to know is their individual elemental design. In ancient Ayurveda is this entire system of health and healing from India that's over 5,000 years old. Inside of it, we had a concept called the doshas. And the doshas are your individual mind-body constitution. And as I wrote the book, I thought I can't give people 500 Sanskrit words. They're going to get so confused. And so I really simplified it. And so I transmuted and transformed doshas into something that we apply across all areas of our lives called elemental design. And so when people go to my website at drshivani.com, when you take the quiz, you come to know quickly using that quiz, are you more air, more fire, or more earth? And once you know that, which element drives you primarily, you can then start to shift your diet, your circadian clock, all these different things, how you approach your own gut health. And those customizations actually lead to the best results. And so I love teaching about elemental design, because then you kind of come to understand, hey, I'm more fire. I'm going to manage myself like a nuclear reactor, or I'm more air. I need more grounding in my life. And so that's how I like to approach it.
I love that. So it sounds simplistic enough because you've changed it and simplified it, maybe realizing that it was more complicated. And now you've been able to put it into our laps so that we can understand it and take advantage of that. That's a great concept.
Yeah.
So your main concept is inflammation. Why are we having so much trouble with inflammation in our lives? What's going on there? It's a big word now.
It is a big word. And I think sometimes as a society, we know the word, but we underestimate what that word means inside of our bodies. So many of us are running around and we're like a forest fire on the inside. There's a forest fire that's causing damage to the gut, damage to our organs. And it's so quiet that when it starts, we're like, oh, I guess I just feel a little tired. It's not a big deal. Then you get into your 30s, all of a sudden you're like, well, now I'm tired. I've got brain fog. I don't want to go out as much. I don't have the same energy. We see that a lot from people in their 30s right now. They're like, I don't want to go out anymore. I don't want to do things.
Wait till they get 70.
Exactly. I'm in my 40s and I can say perimenopause is a painful journey. And I've had to really calibrate to it and bring both my toolkits together, my Ayurveda and my functional medicine Western toolkit, really fuse them just to get through this period and feel the same. My goal is to feel as vibrant and healthy and energetic as ever. And so as we're aging and we're seeing that inflammation rise, the symptoms get louder and louder. And so in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, what are most people saying? I have brain fog. I have fatigue. I can't think the same. I can't focus the same. I do not have the same energy. I've got joint pain, different aches and pains. I wake up with stiffness. I've got gut issues, but I cannot even tell you what it is. I guess it's just IBS. Or they'll say, at different times, I'm just falling sick more often. I don't know what's happening. And so when we look at it through the Ayurveda lens, we say, look, this is not aging. Most of us are calling it aging. It's inflammaging. And Ayurveda has an entire toolkit for that. We talk a lot about the gut health, the sleep that clears inflammation, and aligning to that circadian clock. And so that's where we can really look at, yes, inflammation is an issue. And there are a lot of things that cause it. And in the book, I talk about environmental toxins. That's a big one. Microplastics, pesticides, herbicides, forever chemicals, PFAS. And so I have a whole chapter on let's reduce our toxic burden, because that will support the body when it comes to inflammation. Anytime we put anything towards the body or on the body and the body has to battle with it, the reaction is going to be inflammation. And so just think about that. Anything we do that causes friction is going to be an issue. Could be seed oils, could be a diet full of processed foods. These ultra processed foods we're eating, the body doesn't know what to do with them. And so the body just reacts. Then we've got environmental pollutants. Sometimes it's what's in the air being dropped on us, or it's in our water tables, and that's affecting us. Then food as food, not just what you're eating, but what's put on the food, what's put in the food, how that food is processed. That's why every summer I just want to run to Italy and eat that food just to kind of show my kids and show everyone we can live a completely simple, healthy life. It's really farm to table. It's really simplifying things. And here in the West, our lack of paying attention to that sometimes is a big culprit. Then anything, bacteria, viruses, our pH balance being off can cause inflammation in the system. Anytime we have chronic stress, we're going to cause inflammation in the system. Anytime vagus nerve is dysregulated. So there's a big pileup of things that can cause inflammation. And so step one is always reduce those burdens wherever you can. So I do teach a lot about removing those environmental toxins. Then I move into lifestyle. Where can we shift lifestyle in easy ways? Maybe we just sleep on time, and that's how we win at inflammation. We can just start there. On the circadian clock in Ayurveda, we teach 10 to 2 is when we have what we call pitta time of day, our fire time of day. These fires come out and clear up our inflammation. And so that timing is very important. But what do most of us do? We struggle with sleep. We push our sleep. We say, I need me time. And so we stay up late on social media and pushing our sleep. And so that's why I love that you've created a solution for us to help us with our sleep quality. That's a big deal. Anything that supports sleep to me is a really big deal. And so sleep is one big key piece. Another one is, are we detoxing seasonally? If we're not going to detox on a quarterly or annual basis, according to Ayurveda, we're going to have this accumulation. And then the body's kind of battling with that accumulation, inflammation, lymphatic system is clogged, and then we don't win in our health. So I look at it as a 3-step plan. 1, understand what's inflaming you and reduce it. 2, understand in your lifestyle where tiny shifts that are like daily habits can create a very big lasting change and impact on inflammation. And then 3, what's your prevention plan? Are we going to shift in diet? Are we going to shift in stress? Are we going to shift like how we're navigating our daily life to win at inflammation as well?
Wow. You just said a lot here. As a former teacher, I'd like to say, hey, raise your hand if you think you don't have any inflammation. There wouldn't be one person on this group that does not have inflammation. I mean, since I'm in the 70s, I hopefully have less inflammation than other people, because I had, 30 years when I was younger where we didn't have all of those toxins. So at least my life has given me a toxin-free era when I was raised. The food was what you described. It was so much cleaner and purer and without chemicals and things. But now our children born now are just born right into everything that you mentioned that is causing all of these health problems and inflammation. So age has some positive things and some negative things, as we go through life. It does make you think. I don't know if that was really something to share or not, but it just struck me as how I had such a healthier lifestyle, 70 years ago. And that's just not the same thing today. Our children do not have those advantages.
No, and that's really scary. It's really scary that we're living in a world where the entire modern society is built in a way that's actually harmful to us as human beings. One of my mentors was on my podcast here on Krishnan of Microbiome Labs, and he talked about our gut microbiome, the importance of it. And in Ayurveda, we are obsessed with the gut health. And then he said, we are microbial beings living in an antimicrobial world.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a mic drop moment for me. I was like, wait a minute, we're human beings living in a world that's almost anti-human, if you think about it. Because if all my food, which for convenience does come from Instacart, and I'm ordering it all from Costco and Sprouts, and then I'm cooking it in my home, we cook fresh properly because I teach Ayurveda, I'm not going to eat old, dead food. But like, how are we sourcing the food? Key 1. Are we sourcing any of it local, organic, or fresh? Are we living a lifestyle in our own homes that's healthy? Between the Wi-Fi and the chemicals and things we use. Then where we have more control, I find, is in our bathroom, in our kitchen, in our laundry room. We can make these changes towards less toxic. And then it's kind of on us. Where is your lifestyle? Are you moving in nature? Are you moving your body? Are you shifting? Are you listening to the right frequencies, the right music for you and your body? Are you aligning yourself to nature so that the body can stay in a healed and healthy state? Or are we really creating so much friction because we wake up in a box, we drive in a box, we work in a box, and then we come home to our box to watch a box. And we're never allowing for ourselves to truly be our healthiest self. And so that's what I love about Ayurveda. Ayurveda is very simple. It's like back to your first principles. Nature is king. Nature heals everything. Nature's queen, as I would say it. And so why can't we just understand the simple things are what works and let go of so much of this modern stuff that we are applying to our health, thinking that it works because it's the newest trend, when in fact those basic things were the ones that worked best.
The things that our ancestors knew thousands of years ago, like you mentioned, 5,000 years of history with Ayurveda.
Wow.
We are not listening, in my opinion, enough to what has been known.
True. And it's across all the integrative specialties, right? Chiropractic has so much wisdom, naturopathic, homeopathic, Chinese medicine, any of the integrative ancient modalities are like this is really simple, guys. I got you. It's some herbs, some plants, fresh food made with love, move in nature, sleep well, reduce stress, all those things. And so I think sometimes we aren't willing to accept the simple answer. We want a complicated answer. And so
but but the complicated answer is wrapped up in a pill, one pill. They're still trying to simplify it, but it's complicated. So we've fallen for that. We've become a society that believes that the one pill is better than getting out into the sunshine.
It's so true. You're not wrong there.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I totally agree with you. It's interesting. I studied Ayurveda. And I thought, gosh, I could do this Ayurvedic master's again and again for the rest of my life. There's so much depth in the sciences of Ayurveda. And then I sat in herbology class and the professor said, turmeric does this, ginger does that, cinnamon does this, coriander, cilantro does that. Cilantro is a heavy metal detoxer. Cinnamon helps with your blood sugar. Cumin seeds we use at the foundation of all Indian food. Why? Because it helps us digest and absorb our food better. Garlic, ginger, like every food and spice has so much power in it. And understanding that is can be so transformative. I'm Indian, so I eat Indian food. And he was basically explaining how all our Indian spices have a purpose and they work together. Our garam masala has black pepper and that works with the turmeric. And I just remember thinking, if turmeric can do all that, why are we not using it across all of Western medicine? This is insane. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory. And so I ended up doing my PhD dissertation on turmeric, fell in love with turmeric, became obsessed with it, became an evangelist of it. And for the last decade, started teaching about it. And I built my own turmeric supplement. And I did build that turmeric supplement to be really potent. It works, unlike most turmeric supplements. But what you just said is so powerful. We want a pill because we don't want to just go in the sunlight. And that's so true. It's about 5 years ago, I realized everyone was buying my pill for their pain because we win at joint pain all day and that's their solution. And I realized if I don't teach you sleep, if I don't teach you moving in nature, detoxification, circadian clock, gut health, you're going to take the pill forever. And yes, it works, but lifestyle can reverse it. And we should always be working to reverse the problem in the first place. That is true root cause medicine and personalized medicine. And so about 5 years ago, I pivoted and I still have the turmeric supplement. I love it. It works. But I teach more on, let's talk about lifestyle shifts. So you can come off all of these supplements that we're taking or NSAIDs, which I see people popping every single day. Like I go to Houston to see my family. Everyone's on the NSAID plan. And I'm trying to slowly explain to them turmeric can work instead. And so like you said, it is about simplifying and making space for the simple, natural that works the best.
So you have spent so many years on inflammation. Are there other things that we could be doing? You gave us a list right there. What else would you suggest that we do? Because inflammation is so insidious. Everyone has it all over their whole bodies.
It's so true. You know, my number one is sleep. Sleep is the easiest foundational health habit. And most people who I meet say, I sleep fine. My sleep is fine. I'm good. And I'm always like, can we please track that? Can you put one measurement tool on that at some point for just a week or two and get some data on yourself? Because most people think their sleep is fine. They know they are sleeping, but that doesn't speak to the quality. Quality can be a whole different ballgame. Now, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I don't want people wearing a device that's Bluetooth every day forever. Like, I don't think we have to wear something every night forever. But I think we should move in and out of using really great tools. So I've used this watch for sleep and I'm like, this is so cool. I've used this watch for detoxification. I'm like, this is phenomenal. So I'm a big believer in adding in tools as we need them and getting the support we need. And when it comes to sleep, sleep is the foundation of our body repairing and healing and regenerating. So in Ayurveda, when we say sleep 10 to 2 on that circadian clock, we're saying that's mandatory. We know 10 p.m. we have a melatonin release. We know that the body during that time is most supported to clear everything out. But what if you don't gift yourself that? What if every night it's 11 p.m. forever and you've cut an hour out of that benefit that you wanted? What if every night you're sleeping at 12 or 1 or 2? Many people meet me and say, I'm a night owl. I just can't sleep. I'm like, no, no, no. We can fix this. We can walk this back towards the 10 o'clock slot. And so sleep to me is the easiest one. For many, I know it's not easy, but it's maybe the simplest one that we can apply first when it comes to winning at inflammation. High quality sleep in that window. And I'm not saying just sleep 10 to 2, still sleep your 2 to 6 a.m. or beyond, but focusing on that high quality sleep in that window. Ayurveda says 10 to 2 is twice as important. 10 to 12 is twice as important as the sleep you get after that window. And so that's
okay.
an important thing to pay attention to, because most people are like, yeah, I sleep at midnight. It's fine. I can sleep till 8. Yeah, but adjusting that window of ideal sleep quality for what we call pitta, time of day, the fire to come out and clear and clean our system, isn't going to be fruitful. Like, we need to give ourselves that one gift. So sleep would be my number one. Number 2, I would say a focus on gut health. In Ayurveda, we call the gut digestive fire a fire, and we use the word Agni for it. So I think of our digestive fire as a campfire. So this campfire inside of you is there to do all the work. Every single thing you consume in your day, physically, mentally, emotionally, is going through these fires. And let's say we're eating meals that are completely out of alignment with our elemental design. Let's say I am a Vata person, that's what the template we call more air. And let's say that person is just drinking icy cold foods, icy cold drinks, no healthy fat. They're just keeping their body even more cold, even more imbalanced. That's a tiny example, but eating out of alignment for our body type can be really disruptive to our system and to our gut health. And we know through modern science, we have a gut microbiome, gut-brain axis, all these things are connected. Ancient Ayurveda already said your gut is the center of your immune system, your mood, your mental health, everything, your intelligence, your joy, your vibrancy. And so in Ayurveda, we have a lot of tools around building gut health, rebuilding it, because so many people I meet are post-surgery or post some big life trauma or change that happened. But how often do we go back and rebuild that gut microbiome? So that would be my step 2 when it comes to winning at inflammation. And my number 3 would be take a hard look at your environmental toxin burden. I know that's one thing that we're all struggling with. Like, that one is ubiquitous, that no matter what you're doing, there is an environmental toxin burden. And I don't want to cause too much stress on it, because if I make everyone more stressed out about their habits, then that too will cause inflammation. So that's why in the book, I was like, look, we're going to talk about environmental toxin burdens, but do what you can. Maybe in the kitchen, it's take out the Teflon and the plastic cutting board. Maybe it's that simple. Wood cutting board, more steel pans in the mix. Maybe in the bathroom, it's your shampoo and your body soap. Like, look at where you can make simple changes. And what I like about those changes on home is once you make it once, all you have to do is do that same thing forever. It's like you've operationalized a system, and then you just execute the same system forever. Mentally, for me, that one's easier. I'm like, okay, well, we only buy wood cutting boards. We only buy glass Pyrex. We only buy, this soap. And so that's where I think we can create simple changes with significant impact as well, because it can get overwhelming. Taking care of our health can become a full-time job. So I try to be reasonable in what I ask of people. Just do the big ones that cause that big change.
Perfect. Well, I think I wanted to jump back. Is there a tool that you suggest that we monitor our sleep with? Do you use one in particular that you'd recommend for us all to be monitoring?
Yes, I just got myself the new Aura ring, because my old one was the OG original one and it went kaput. So I have an Aura ring, and occasionally I'll put that on and say, okay, let's just track sleep and see what we're doing that's not good for sleep. Some people like the Whoop band, because that gives you a ton more data on yourself. And so that's a watch that you can wear. So those are 2 great options. Those are kind of like the most popular right now in our space. And I know there's a lot more of them coming online. But a lot of people struggle with sleep. And what's interesting is a few years ago, I launched an Ayurvedic tea for sleep. And I thought, okay, everyone's going to want this. It'll be amazing. It'll be great. And I was at an event where I launched it. And everyone who came up to me, I had a sleep formula actually and a sleep tea. Everyone who came up to me said, my husband needs that. It's my husband's sleep that's ruining my sleep. And I thought, that is so interesting. Like, it didn't occur to me, but my husband snores too. And I'm like, I sleep in a separate room because I'm like, I don't know what to do with you getting phone calls all night on call and snoring. I have to sleep or I can't function. And so it's interesting to see the dynamics around sleep. And then I've met a lot of women in menopause who are struggling with insomnia, completely struggling. And I always sit down with them. I'm like, let's talk about it. Are you moving enough? Are you exercising enough? Do we have enough sleep pressure? Did you wake up and really start your circadian clock? Are you seeing the sun enough? What time are we finishing dinner? What are we eating for dinner? Let's move that dinner up to pre-7 o'clock. Let's eat easier to digest foods. How is your gut health? How are your hormones? I mean, we can go down and down the checklist. I even start asking really invasive questions like, when do your sprinklers go off? Are they going off in the middle of the night? Because that can wake you up.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a thermostat set on a schedule so it doesn't change temperatures? If you warm up in the night, that can shift your sleep. And so to me, sleep is so foundational to our happiness and our joy and our ability to focus and function. And then, of course, for inflammation and health too, that I always want to understand quickly what is the issue? Like, what is the point in the day? So if you wear a wearable for sleep, you'll see quickly, okay, it's 2 a.m. every night. And then we can start the investigations. Is it the AC? Is it the sprinklers? Is it something else? Does someone else go to the bathroom in your house and flush the toilet? That can be the thing. I've troubleshot that one for many people. I'm like, tell everyone not to make noises at night at all because you need your sleep. So I think it's just so important to get down into the granular with sleep and find the way forward. And I love to do that with people. That to me is like the fun thing I get to do is investigate on sleep.
I love it. And, so one of the things I say the most is to be careful of what you are wearing at night and make sure your phone isn't beside your bed and all of those kind of things with our EMFs. And people are getting more aware of that. But so many people, so many women that do come in to see me still are wearing their different kinds of Apple watches and, I don't, brand names and things like that, but they are wearing those all night long and they are not necessarily good for their sleep patterns. So to me, that's usually the first thing that changes with women is exploring their EMFs that surround them all night long.
Absolutely. If we can take the home office out of the bedroom, plug your phone in at least 10 to 15 feet away. I had a gentleman named Jack on my podcast. He's from Essentia Mattresses, and he shared, create a sleep tech bubble. There should be a sleep bubble where there's no tech, no EMFs, nothing coming at you. And really being aware of that. We can use grounding sheets nowadays. We can use grounding mats in our beds. Like there's a lot of opportunity to up level our quality of sleep, not just get rid of the bad, but add in the good. So yeah, I love that you highlighted that because if we're going to wear, Apple Watch you could use to measure sleep, but I would never recommend it as a 24 hours a day, every day kind of solution. And we underestimate how little subtle things are taking. It's like a little tiny thing could diminish the quality of our sleep. And that diminishment is just enough to create a long-term impact on our health. And it's a tiny thing and it could be subtle. But when we're talking about something like inflammation is so insidious that everything we do to take it down a few notches, I think is a big deal. Because otherwise you have to take something to reduce inflammation. But the more we can just reduce the burden, then we're going to win at it in this natural, organic, simple way.
Wow. So you've kind of covered sleep and then you talked about gut health and then next is toxins is I think that's what you said.
Yeah. Next would be toxins, really taking a hard look at your life and understanding just because something is sold at the store doesn't mean it's good for us. And I think most of us in the health, wellness, organic lifestyle space and the natural wellness space get that. I know for me, my kids are 15 and 12. So pre Anya, pre my first child, I became obsessed with this topic and I read all the books on organic lifestyle. And I think many of us do that that first moment we are about to build and raise a child and our body and our health matters for someone else. But there's so much around apps we can use now when we go to the store to read about if a product is clean or not. I know I've been to Costco and I was buying like Ecos brand soap. And when I used the Think Dirty app by the Environmental Working Group and I scanned it, it was like level 9 red bad. And I was like, there are so many green brands and they're really greenwashing, unfortunately. And that's
That's
not the only one. They say that
Mhm.
about a lot of the other brands. I won't name them all, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. They're sold at Target and everywhere. And oftentimes they're not really green. And so I like to just bring the awareness of do your research, find the organizations that talk about this, find new, smaller companies, because usually the new small company is actually obsessed with quality. And then if they eventually sell, we can't necessarily trust that it's still as clean. We see those shifts in the quality of that product. But when they're small, they're really focused on it. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying out brands all the time. I'll buy like Branch Basics and see how effective is it for how clean it is, or Dr. Bronner's is clean. And I think it's important to keep working towards that.
I'm a muscle tester. So before I buy anything, any cleaning product or, anything like that, I'm always muscle testing it. I don't have to read as much in depth, on the back. I can just tell, most of the times I just touch it and know that it's good or bad for me. So a lot of people have learned how to muscle test and like that idea too, because we have to have maybe a really quick method of saying, nope, that's bad,
Yeah, it's so true. I love that.
So I know you have some other ideas for us on inflammation or what's in your book. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
For sure. So one of the pillars that I teach about in here is called super spices. And you can see the spices across the top. I happen to be obsessed with spices. I think that in the West, we lean so hard on superfoods. And when people don't feel great, they're like, well, I need more energy. Let me add in more superfoods. I'll get more energy. And I went through that. When I was in my 30s, I was like, okay, it's maca, it's goji berries, chia seeds, hemp seeds. On that list would be spinach, salmon, these kinds of foods, blueberries. And so I remember just trying to stuff those into my life. And you can see that nowadays. A lot of people will make their morning shake and stuff so much nutrition in, which is fine. I have nothing against it. I have one of those stomachs where I can't quite combine 50 things at once. I have to be a little bit more aware. And in Ayurveda, we're not big fans of food combinations that aren't like incoherence is a way to say it. Like we're very careful about how we combine. We never combine dairy and fruit, for example. And a lot of times in morning shakes, it's like milk, bananas, etc. And so in Ayurveda, we teach, look, there are great superfoods. And what that just means is foods full of so much nutrient density that can support us. But in the West, we've forgotten that there's so many spices that exist across the world in so many cultures. So even the other day, I was making all these fresh new Mexican recipes, and they use ground cumin. And I was like, wow, we only use whole cumin seeds. This is interesting that someone's using ground cumin in their recipes. They use turmeric. That's how you make the rice yellow, Mexican rice. I'm from Texas, so for my whole life is Tex-Mex or Indian food. And so I just thought to myself, I wonder how far we can take using these spices and showing everyone that they too are superfoods. So I mentioned cumin seeds. We know cumin seed oil has a lot of benefits. But what if every day when you were cooking, you started to incorporate a little bit of cumin seeds beforehand? In our case, we heat up ghee or oil or butter, and we put in a sprinkling of cumin seeds. But we do that especially anytime we're going to do anything hard to digest. Lentils, beans, any hard to digest vegetable. You could also do that anytime you're going to heat up leftovers, because leftovers, we teach, are kind of a dead food. Like it had prana and life force on day one, and by day two, it's lacking that, or day three, worse and worse and worse. So I'll eat food 1 day old, but I won't eat it beyond 1 day old, because my gut health, everything, I just don't want to affect it negatively. I've worked so hard for this gut health. And we teach that it's harder for the body to process. And we teach that it creates something called ama, or this toxin residue in the system that accumulates. And then later we're experiencing our body is like backed up, slow, not working as efficiently. It's inflamed. There's a lymphatic backup. And it's all tied to these kinds of simple practices. And so coming back to those super spices, cumin is an easy one to use. There's another one I love called hing, H-I-N-G. In the West, it's called asafoetida. So I think no one's heard of it. But when people have really big health struggles with their gut and they call me, I'm like, I'm just going to meet you in a parking lot with these two spices. And I just want you to make this simple tea and then call me. And they're like, I don't need to go to GI anymore. Like, how did you fix me? Or post-pandemic, people called with really weird heartburn issues. And I was like, there's one tea I have for all gut-related issues, bloating, indigestion, pain, all the things. And even in my house, my kids, when they're not well, they're like, will you just make us the tea? We don't like the tea, but we know the tea works. I'm like, okay. And it's my grandmother's recipe. She put together hing and a spice we have in India called kala namak. Kala namak just means black salt, but it looks like a very purple salt. It's very sulfuric. It's a pinch of each in a cup of hot water. You boil it, bring it to tea temperature, and drink it. Everything resolves. And I've had people who say, I'm taking it every day. And I always say remedies are not for every day. They're remedies. They're meant to be used and then let go of. But that one tea has solved, I wouldn't say thousands, but hundreds of people's problems. And that's just 2 spices from our spice kit. We have tons of spices. Fennel seeds, for example, after a meal. If you're always gassy or bloated after a meal, you can chew some fennel seeds. That will cool the system down. That's why when you go to an Indian restaurant after the meal, there's fennel seeds on that counter. They want you to chew them because they know they gave you more spices than you're used to eating. And that's going to help cool your system down so you come back again. And so I just love highlighting the spices. My personal favorite is turmeric. That was my PhD. And I do think it's such a powerhouse spice because of its properties for inflammation, oxidation, neuroinflammation, brain health. So I teach a lot on it because I think adding it to our arsenal of what we're doing is so powerful. I also use it as my main immune support because it's antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. So as we go through the cold seasons, I'm always like, I need my defense shields on board. But we could also look to ginger tea as well. I mean, there's so many different options. And I love going at it from tea form first because tea is so natural, simple. It's something we can make in 5 minutes. The body's going to absorb it well. And then if we need concentrated, significant supplements, we can go there. But can we win in the tea and food area first on our way there? So super spices is something I get into a lot in the book. I put recipes in here in a whole chapter around using the super spices and the power of them because I wanted people to kind of have a guidebook they could use every day.
I love that. And especially you're backing up tea. I'm a tea person. I've always been. I always drink everything hot. I even drink hot water just by itself, and people are always making fun of me. It's like, what? And they're gulping down icy drinks or whatever, but tea to me, I mean, it speaks to me. So here's my cup of tea as we're talking, and the fact that you really kind of back that up and that's a really good way. Thank you so much. I love that idea.
You're welcome. In the Ayurvedic self-care rituals that I teach, we have a series of 12 rituals we do every day that are detoxing and healthy. I added one called Tea Time is Me Time because to me, in modern day life, we're going so fast. There's always stuff to do. There's never a moment where we just give our brain and body a break. And for me, tea time is that break. So I have tea at least 5 times a day, at least. And it's different herbs. So right now, this is my menopause support tea that I made. It has shatavari and it has 3 types of tulsi and it has green jasmine, which is my favorite. But I know that I need that adaptogenic support to stay cool, calm, collected, and at peace throughout my day. So I drink different adaptogenic teas throughout the day based on the time of day. And tea time to me is me time. It's a moment to tune in. You can call it a mindful moment, an anchor moment, or you can call it a sacred pause if you're more spiritual. And it's that moment of alignment, of asking yourself and your intuition, how am I doing today? What do I need to do to make today better? What do I need to change this week for this week to be better? And my intuition comes out with really funny answers sometimes, like you need to cancel that. You need to say no. You shouldn't have said yes to that. And I take that as truth. I take that as the universe speaking through me or my own intuition, knowing what's best for me. And that's like the power of that. And then additionally, if you wanted to come at it from the science, drinking a warm beverage is going to tone the vagus nerve. It's just like humming, gargling, or chanting. It's going to calm us down. It's going to drop us into our parasympathetic nervous system. So we are in rest and digest. So we actually digest and process our day, our food, everything. And thus that space for our body to win an inflammation or anything else that we're talking about today. And it's as simple as a cup of tea. Like tea we can buy anywhere and have on us at all times. So when I travel, the first thing I pack is tea above all else, because I know I can't find my quality of tea on the road, and everything else is optional. I mean, I could buy clothes anywhere, but tea is like my number one thing. So yeah, we're totally aligned in the love of tea.
I love that. And I don't make my own. I have a daughter-in-law that makes lots of teas, so that's really interesting. But I do like the ginger turmeric, tea, and hoping that is, what that it's a good brand, but I've muscle tested it. And then just recently I saw a little bit more evidence saying that Earl Grey tea was actually very, very good for breast health. And that was a new change. They had always said green tea before. And then the latest I heard was that was actually better for breast health. And that's what I work with most. So I've kind of switched to an Earl Grey break tea time.
Nice.
So.
Very nice. I love it.
So many things. I don't know that we're winding down. We have a few minutes. Okay, here comes John. You have a couple questions or some additions? We can't hear you yet.
Sorry about that. Joseph just lost his internet, so I'm jumping on here. He's going to come back in a moment. But yes, I want to ask a few more questions. Well, first of all, I'm super excited about the book. And although I still haven't really decided if I'm a turmeric or a turmeric kind of person, I do all of my on the spice rack. It's my favorite, but I haven't quite gone to the medicinal side yet. But I'm excited about it. I guess my question is, what is the one thing that you hope that readers will walk away from after they read the information code?
I hope everyone walks away feeling more sovereign in their health. We can be, and in my opinion, we should be our own best advocates. And we should really stand up for the quality of health and level of health that we deserve. And I feel like nowadays in society, many of us in our communities are struggling. We're not feeling as great. We're tired, brain fog, gut issues, joint pain, stiff. And we're not living life at the level that we deserve to live it at. And so that's the whole point of the book is let me show you a different mindset, a different approach, and a different understanding to health from this ancient perspective. And I don't expect everyone to pick up and do everything in the book, but even if they do half of the things, it would create a profound shift. Like even if you just knew your elemental design and applied that one thing, that's a huge life trajectory shift. And so that's my goal with the book.
I love it. It's great.
That's amazing. We have so many people curious about your tea. I know you mentioned, so can they buy that on Fusionary Formulas or
Yes.
where's that tea available?
Yeah, it's on Fusionary Formulas. The teas look like this. They come in loose form. And so I made a couple of teas. I made a deep sleep tea, which has brahmi and ashwagandha, osmanthus, cardamom from Ayurveda, which helps with sleep. Then I made another one called unwind tea, because I know many of us get home after work and need something to help us unwind. And I see most people reaching for wine or chocolate or these kinds of things. So adaptogens can do that for us. We can just take an adaptogenic tea and unwind, reduce anxiety, these kinds of things. And then I made a menopause support tea, because that was my biggest request. And so it's for perimenopause and menopause to help with the symptoms, but also to keep the body cool and supported with the right adaptogens to support our organs, like female reproductive organs. So yeah, I love creating teas. It's been a joy to get to create the teas.
So
cool.
if you drink 5 cups of tea a day, how much water do you drink? Where are you at on that balance? Because I get in trouble from people that watch me. I'm such a tea drinker. They're going, you never drink any water.
I'm accused of the exact same thing. And so I do make water multiple times a day. And I'm like, Shivani Gupta, your job is to drink 3 of these. That's your job. And I'll get to 1.5. This is my half. And it's hard because I love tea 100 times more than I want to drink regular water. So I usually put electrolytes, perfect aminos, glutamine, whatever I can in my waters to make them fun so that I'll drink them. But I have the exact same problem.
Okay.
I'll drink green tea from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. Then I have to cut off caffeination. I'm like, okay, then I'll have unwind tea. I'm like, well, I want one more. So then I could do like a peppermint tea or more unwind. And then I do sleep tea before bed as my sleep hygiene ritual. So we're in the same boat.
Yep. Okay.
Here's a quick question, and then we should share a little more. But any tips for lowering cortisol? Any of your teas or other ideas? Or
For sure. So in Ayurveda, we teach these self-care rituals. One of them is waking up in the morning and tuning into like your intention for the day. We talk about moving in nature, circadian alignment, circadian walks. I think walking in nature is like a number one way to reduce cortisol. I know right now it's snowy and cold in most of our country. So however you can move your body, I think, and in nature is preferred to get that result. I do use adaptogens a lot because, for example, when I finish work and I go to pick up the kids, I need to be in a better headspace than in full work mode. And that's why I made unwind tea. I thought, let me create a step down so I mellow out a little bit before it's motherhood and kid time, because otherwise there's a lot of friction there. And so that was my solution for that time period to calm us down. And it does help with cortisol. Anytime we reach into the adaptogens from Ayurveda, for example, ashwagandha, if you're stressed and anxious, calms you down a few notches. If you're depressed and having the blues, it lifts you up. So adaptogens can function like these natural thermostats that intelligently go inside of us and help us where we need help the most. And so that's how I use them. Today I thought, okay, I'm going to be on camera all day. Let me drink menopause support tea, because my body will take what it needs and use it in the way it needs it. I don't have to think too hard about it because the adaptogens do that for us naturally.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
You said you're going to be on camera all day today. So how many, I mean, this is not a health question, but how many interviews and things are you doing as you ramp up for your book launch?
So I've been on the book tour since October. A book tour is a very long media tour, and I got up to doing 5 a day. But 5 interviews a day will completely burn out your brain, and then you will not be a happy mom or human. So I've learned to cut myself off at 4 and then to give myself lunch breaks and breaks, because the whole book is about winning at inflammation in our health. And 5 a day, no lunch was not sustainable. I was like, you are going in the wrong direction for your health. And then you're going to teach health. And that makes no sense. So I shifted it. And now I'm much happier.
Awesome. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, people have been asking, so I want to just make sure that we can clearly share them a little bit about your book, your website, and your company as well. So I know you told John the kind of the highlight for you about the book, but anything else you want to share, an excerpt or anything else people can look forward to in the book?
For sure.
Really
So
excited about.
anyone who purchases the book will get my 14-day challenge, 14-day reset. And that's 14 videos where I take those key concepts out of the book and put it into a challenge that we can all do, because sometimes it's hard to apply everything we learn. But that way, every day I gave one piece of homework to apply, to learn about. And so, yeah, the 14-day challenge is one gift with the book. And yeah, the book comes out February 3rd. So it'll start shipping very shortly. And I can't wait for everyone to have it and read it and start applying it.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that you're tying in a challenge, because sometimes just, the momentum to take action is difficult in our busy society. And I love the fact that you're pairing the book with, a daily email challenge for people. So I'm going to drop the link to the book here in the chat.
Perfect.
And then we've also got a link to your company here I've put in the chat, but also a 15% off with the code WAVwatch. So
Nice.
Yes, for sure. I mean, for me to be able to teach Ayurveda is the greatest gift. To get to have a supplement company alongside it for those that really need it is the greatest gift as well. Because for me, all day long, I see people reaching out who want to take a turmeric that works, who know they want turmeric as their daily, I think of it as a daily insurance policy, because I want my immune, gut, and inflammation to always be supported. But yeah, Fusionary is where I create my teas. We just came out with a cool dry brush, a tongue scraper. Someone here asked about tongue scraping. Tongue scraping is one of those classic Ayurvedic health habits. We want everyone to use a tongue scraper every single morning, gently scrape the tongue 7 to 14 times. And the benefits are it's a gentle detoxer. So that ama, or toxin residue that I mentioned, it forms throughout our body. And we teach that all our organs are reflected on the tongue, just like in reflexology, they're reflected on our feet. So we're going to clear our organs, detox all organs, clear up oral microbiome, which helps gut microbiome, taste our food better because we're clearing those taste buds as well. So it's very multifaceted. It ignites Agni, or digestive fire, for the day. So I love simple habits that take 30 seconds that we can do every day that can give us a profound long-term benefit.
Love it. Just so holistic. And then, of course, your website, drshivani.com. And as you mentioned, after the book launch, people can always go there. And last but not least, you are a WAVwatch user, and we've got a discount code for people that are here and maybe don't have a WAVwatch yet. They can get that 15% discount off with your code.
And what we consider the most important frequency on the WAVwatch is called wave relief, which is for inflammation, pain, and trauma. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to have to use that one.
Yeah.
I love that. I've used the lymph one specifically when I've done big intermittent fasts. I'm like, please help me, please support me. So I'll turn that one on. I've tried the sleep. You know what I do at conferences? I always use all the brain ones because I want the brain support of like mental stress, mental inflammation, all of those things. I use that one. I love the brain one the most for myself.
Awesome. And we'll get you charged up as well. Now that, yes, so we're getting there.
Me and chargers are not friends. I lose chargers to everything. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
Yeah.
you are such a wealth of information, and I loved everything you say. I mean, we're all about inflammation. It's a really unique, the tea idea, and so many things that you have shared that could be so simplistic, but life-changing for people if they're able to put some of those steps into actions and just start small, like you said. Listen, order her book, gain some information, and apply something. Figure out what is the easiest thing to add to your life that can make the biggest changes. So inflammation is everywhere. Everything we do causes inflammation. So we all need to be working on that.
Yes.
Very true. Very, very true. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It's so fun to speak into a community that already understands the profound impact of focusing on our health, using great tools, using things like the WAVwatch as a tool in our lives that helps support us enhance our health. That's a big deal. And so it's always fun to speak into a like-minded community like this one. So thank you.
Well, you're very, very welcome.
And we hope to see you soon in real life, a real person or in
I'm
person.
sure I'll see you at an event coming soon. I always
Yeah.
love learning new frequencies from you guys. You're like, try this one. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for real. And best of luck with the rest of your virtual and in-person book tour. I'm sure it goes both ways. So
It does. I'm doing a TEDx in 2 weeks here in South Florida. So that'll be my big book signing and way to share it with my community. So
Wow.
I'm excited.
Wow.
very
Yeah.
excited.
Well, we've got a few people that have already ordered your book. So excited people here. And thank you again for joining. Really appreciate it. And best of luck again on your book launch.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you
everybody.
for having me. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank y'all for being here.
Thanks, everyone.